Fantastic. Hi, everyone. All nobody that's there that's watching right now. So it's cool that we started exactly like this.
Yep. I'm
Because
tweeting. People watch.
not doing anything. I don't. Well, if I had made the event like I was supposed to, then if I'd made the event correctly like I was supposed to, then it would be working. But I didn't because I didn't because that was a thing.
Well, Guapo's watching us.
Guapo's watching. Hi, Guapo.
Hi, Guapo.
I need to open up the YouTube channel, but I'm not going to now. All right, everybody who is here, meaning Guapo, and who will be watching the video probably later because I am terrible about scheduling things ahead of time. 2 viewers now, or it might be you watching. Anyways, we're talking about Suicide Squad. That's what's happening.
Eventually.
I have no idea what Spaz thought of the video. Spaz has no idea what I thought of the video. So we're going in blind on each other's opinions. So since it's my show, Spaz, what'd you think of the movie? General thoughts.
General thoughts, I loved it. General thoughts, here, it's more complicated than a general thought. I thought the movie was bad and did awesome things.
I agree with that opinion.
All right. Because you and I disagree. Okay, because it is connected, we do have to do this because we never did this. We never did a Batman versus Superman review.
Because we vastly disagree.
Violently disagree because I thought Batman Superman was great and you thought it was shit. So there was that.
But I went into Suicide Squad not having very high expectations. And there were good things about Suicide Squad, just like with Batman vs. Superman. There were things I liked about Batman vs. Superman, but I feel like that parts of it suffered.
Yeah. I think with Batman and Superman, because they're characters that people know better, you go into it and you're like, I think this is going to happen. And then when that doesn't happen, people get upset. Less people know the Suicide Squad like story and theology, myself included. So there's less of a that's not what I thought was going to happen element to it. So I think it had that going for it. My brother, who knows a lot more about comics than me, showed me the cartoon the cartoon that the movie was basically based on, which is the Suicide Squad. It's just called, if anybody wants to check it out, it's called Assault on Arkham. And it's pretty cool. It's like 90% of what's in Suicide Squad, the movie, was taken from that story, I think, including the one guy getting his head blown off super early.
Okay.
Which was great. For me, I'm not going to lie, I didn't care about the team. For me, the problem I've had with Batman movies for a long, and it's not a Batman movie, we'll get to that. But the problem
Batman is in the movie, though. For like 20 seconds.
I mean, there's a lot of butthurt people out there that, there wasn't enough Batman and Joker in it. Well, it's not a Batman Joker movie. For me, the thing was, of all the, like, if you take a look at the entire rogues gallery of Batman and all the villains that they've done, the one main one that they've never really done that everybody's kind of asked for, at least people I've spoken to, has been Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Because Harley Quinn, not that she's a super main character, but because Joker is, like, the villain in the Batman world, like, everybody else sort of falls into place, but the main Batman theology is Batman and Joker. Like, there's your ultimate good and evil. And the fact that she's so closely tied to him and she's never been personified in a movie until now is almost unbelievable. And so that was the thing for me.
Well, I mean, she originally was created on the animated Batman TV show. She didn't even make her debut in the comics at first. She was on the very original, like, square jaw Batman animated series.
Yeah, that was literally called Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
And that's where most of my Batman knowledge comes from.
Mm-hmm. And I'll start with, I think my biggest problem with the entire movie can be summed up at the very beginning, my feelings at the very beginning of the movie. So, you go to a movie theater, you have credits roll, you have previews rolling for other movies, and I'm watching the previews and everything. And then the movie starts and I don't realize the movie starts until Will Smith shows up. Until you see Will Smith, I'm like, oh shit, that first like couple minutes was the movie. Like it just starts very suddenly.
It's very abrupt, yeah.
It starts to me like they were like, let's just get all this shit out of the way. So we could get to the fun stuff. Yeah. Which I feel wasn't a great choice.
I mean, you can do it well and you can do it bad. I mean, they did it.
I mean, you can't give every single character a Batman-esque trilogy origin story. Like, it just can't happen. But I feel like...
This is the thing, though. Like, and we're going to get into this later on. I think DC is trying to be Marvel with, like, the whole amalgamate series thing. Well, I think you and I can agree, like, despite its faults, the way that Marvel has done the whole, here's this hero, here's this hero, this hero, this hero, blah, 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 and then we throw them all together, has been done amazingly. But if you look at another Marvel series, which is actually done by Fox, but whatever, look at the X-Men, we were introduced to the X-Men as a group.
Yes.
And we found out about them later on. So the fact that we met all of these characters at the same time didn't necessarily hurt it to me because
I didn't think that was the issue. I just felt like it was done very quickly. It's like, we'll use the X-Men movie as an example. It's like if they were like, well, here's Wolverine and he, you know, heals and has a bunch of knives in his hand, and Cyclops has like laser beams coming out of his eyes, and Storm can control the weather, and that was how you began the X-Men movie.
Yeah, I'm second guessing my example now, because with the original X-Men, like the very first X-Men, you kind of follow Wolverine because he's the new guy going into this big established group. So we get to learn about the group as he does, like he's our canary, the group type of thing. You didn't really have that here, but so that maybe that's where my comparison's not the greatest. I think the fact that you met them first and then found out about who they are, I think it was sort of a unique sort of twist on it. I don't hate it, but it could, you're right, with the abruptness of it, that could have been done a lot better. Like structurally, that could have been done a lot better.
I felt I'll go ahead and put some good things out that I loved about, that I really liked about the movie, that I really enjoyed about the movie. The woman who played Amanda Waller was great.
Sorry to cut you off. Do you watch How to Get Away with Murder?
No.
Okay, if you liked her portrayal in this, go start watching the show How to Get Away with Murder. That's basically her bitchy ass character on the show.
I love the Amanda Waller character. I thought that was done very well.
Is her name?
Will Smith did a good job. I liked Will Smith in the movie. I liked Margot Robbie in the movie. I
thought I was going to be really hard on her.
I thought I was too. I mean, I'm not a fan of over-sexed up kitten Harley Quinn anyways, but I feel like with how they introduced her and how they formed how they showed her relationship with the Joker, I feel like it fit, because they made the Joker kind of like into this, what if we made the Joker into a gangster, like modern day gangster rapper, put him in modern day gangster rapper culture.
And I think that's good. And again, it brings it down to the realism. When we did the Christian Bale Batman, we made the switch from here's Bruce Wayne, who's this genius who builds all his toys in a cave under his house, to no, he's Bruce Wayne. He's like part of a bajillion-dollar company. He's got a tech guy.
He's got people that do that.
He's got people, and that makes sense. So you got Joker, who is a human being, but if you see like Jack Nicholson's Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, even Joker in the cartoons, they're almost portrayed in that monster persona, like almost not human. In like mentally, and I'm explaining this horribly, but if you bring him down and you say, no, he's just a psychopath, no, he's just a gangster, he's a criminal, and he got this other girl to come be a criminal with him. You humanize him, like you bring him down a notch to humanize him, that almost makes him more scary. And
I agree.
All the shit that Jared Leto's getting for his portrayal of Joker can go fuck itself.
I don't think it was my favorite portrayal of Joker, but I would definitely, they say they cut like 2 hours of Joker out of this movie. They say there was enough rumor is there's enough Joker footage to make a whole nother like movie with just the Joker. I would be interested in seeing that movie, based on what I've seen here.
I like the fact, and it goes for Batman as well. Really, okay, you did get a bit of Joker and a bit of Batman in the movie, but for the most part,
but it wasn't really about them.
No, but at the same time as it wasn't about them, the way they were used in the movie was great. Because here's the thing: here's Joker that we know, who's huge. Here's Batman, who we know that's huge. And for the most part, they were only plot points because they used Batman to tell part of the Deadshot backstory. Mm-hmm. And obviously you use Joker to make the Harley Quinn backstory. So if you got these two huge characters and all they are is plot points for these characters, how the fuck awesome are these characters?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it came out. I thought that was brilliant.
I very much agree with that. Like I said, I'm not ever really a fan of super sexed up Harley Quinn, but I felt like it worked this time.
Yeah.
I like the Deadshot character. I like that they gave him a kid, but he's still like he has a kid in the comic. I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. I really liked how Will Smith like played the character. Like, he's a gun for hire. He's a badass, but he still has this kid that he cares about, whose mom is a shithead, apparently. All that stuff. Where I felt the movie was weak was a lot of the other characters were very one note. And I felt like the plot of the movie was it's one of those movies that like it caused its own plot to happen.
Yes.
Like, because you bring in Enchantress, who you bring in the Enchantress, and she's part of the Suicide Squad. She's part of what they make as the Suicide Squad. But if they'd never made the Suicide Squad, Enchantress wouldn't have had the opportunity to escape and then cause all of this stuff. So we're making this movie, and Suicide Squad causes Suicide Squad to be.
Well, that's the thing, though. You take a look at somebody manipulative like the Amanda Waller character. She's not going to show it, but obviously she's kind of grinning because she wants a gun. She wants a big gun to aim at the world, and her big gun to aim at the world is this Project X team. Now she's got to go and convince people that we need this Project X team so that I can have it, so that I can have this gun to shoot. So one of them strays off and becomes the big bad. And her whole point from the beginning is, look, there's metahumans all over the world. We got to get some of them on our team. The fact that her own actions caused one of them to flare up, she was basically able to manipulate that to her advantage and say, look, here's my point. Manipulative as hell. I think the fact that they sent the whole Suicide Squad in as like a test, and the whole test was really just to rescue her, was a bitch move, and it was so good.
That's part of the thing I liked about the character. But the what's his name? Rick Flag, I think that's his name. I'm not super familiar with Suicide Squad. The Rick Flag character and his involvement with Enchantress, I felt was very weak. They're like, oh, I put them together. I had him go rescue her and find her, and then I got them to fall in love was essentially like, she almost, in Amanda Waller's own words, she essentially like tricked them into falling in love with each other. Therefore, he had control over Rick Flag because of what she had control over Enchantress.
Well, she had control over Rick Flag, so she used Rick Flag to control the Enchantress, but at the same time, Enchantress is like this otherworldly thing that she's controlling.
Well, no, she specifically she sent Rick Flag in. She sent Rick Flag in wanting him to be like the leader of this team, like the one who establishes this team. And he falls in love with the vessel of the Enchantress, who I forget, it's an archaeologist, but I forget what her name is. And she uses that very early on in the movie to get him to stay on the Suicide Squad, because he doesn't really want himself or his girlfriend a part of it, but she's like, look, I have control of Enchantress. Like, I have her heart right here. I can kill her. So she's staying with me. If you want to protect her, then you've got to stay too.
Yeah. But again, like, and I really, like, I might sound like I'm overselling it a little bit, I think the only person that I can think of, like the only actress that I know that could pull off that type of, oh my God, you're really that much of a terrible person, is Viola Davis. Because you look at her and there's no soul there. Mm-hmm. And the only other show that I've seen her in is pretty much the same context. Why?
I didn't turn my phone off either, so I could have a terrible interruption too.
Well, I just unplugged the phone. No, I will say as a whole, this movie, if you look at this movie, like put a stopper at one end and a stopper at the other, and look at this movie just on its own, the story sucks. The villain sucks. The other villain sucks. Oh my God, there's a bad guy and we need to kill them, and we did, and it's over. The up and down of this movie sucks completely. But for me, and this is going to sound like I'm twisting it a little bit, because of what it did structurally, long term, it's amazing. It is the chapter 1 of, like I say, DC's version of the Marvel Universe. Like, we know where it's going. We know it's tied to Batman. We know it's tied to Joker. We know it's tied to the Justice League. We got all these characters. We got to see them go out there and be badass. The one complaint that I've seen that I think is kind of funny with the Deadshot character is everybody kind of says it, but nobody really explains what they mean by it, is they say that Will Smithed up the character too much, which I can kind of agree with, but at the same time, I don't know the character from other than from one cartoon, so I don't know what the character is supposed to be like. So the fact that like everybody's comparing his character in this to his character in like Pursuit of Happiness, I'm like,
well, there was also rumor a while back. There was a Deadshot character in the Arrowverse, in Arrow and Flash and all of that.
Yes.
And they killed him off at some point. The Suicide Squad was in the Arrowverse as well. Not this version of it. Deadshot was in it, but like Harley Quinn wasn't in it. Like some of these bigger characters were not in it. It was some D-list characters, and then Deadshot was also in it. And they eventually stopped using the Suicide Squad in the TV show, probably because they actually were going to
like Harley Quinn, who we've been waiting for forever. You couldn't just throw Harley Quinn on as a random character on another show.
Well, I mean, they've done it before, not specifically with her, but you know, they've put if you want to see, in my opinion, good DC stuff, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow is all right. You know, all the like.
I don't watch any of them. It's one of those. When you and I reviewed Civil War, I made this comparison. It's like if they weren't together in a universe, I wouldn't care about Captain America. I wouldn't care about Ant-Man. I wouldn't care about it, but for the fact that they're all tied together. Like if they weren't tied together in a universe with Superman, Batman, Joker, etc., I wouldn't care about Aquaman. I wouldn't care about the Flash.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So I don't watch Arrow. I don't watch whoever the other guy is. I tried really hard to watch Legends of Tomorrow.
It's not as good. I would say it's the weaker of the shows.
Okay, here's my comparison. I started watching Legends of Tomorrow at the same time as I gave in and started watching S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't even compare them.
Well, the problem with we're getting off on a different topic, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The problem with Legends of Tomorrow is I say it's the weaker of the shows because Legends of Tomorrow, all of those characters minus the British guy, Rip Hunter, minus him, were all in either Arrow or Flash. They pulled characters from other shows. So when that show starts, they expect you to know who these characters are because they were in the other shows.
And see, the only people that I knew on that show before watching it were the two brothers, only because I used to watch Prison Break.
Yes, they're in.
It was hysterical when I saw them. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So I would say that's the weaker of the shows. But anyways, in Arrow, they did have the Suicide Squad. They have their own version of Amanda Waller and everything.
Oh, nice.
And when the Suicide Squad movie was just rumors at that point, and and we weren't sure if we were getting it. They hadn't even announced the cast, or they had announced Will Smith as Deadshot. That's about it. Right around that time, they killed off Deadshot in the Arrowverse, and a lot of people were upset about that because they were saying that they did it because they wanted to use Deadshot in the Suicide Squad movie, and they didn't want this Deadshot competing with that Deadshot, which I think is dumb anyways, because we've already established that.
I'm sorry to keep saying the same thing. That's where Marvel trumps DC.
Yes.
All of their shows are in line with all their movies. Marvel, okay. I know.
Well,
I know
DC could be doing. DC doesn't have to do the same thing because it's even within the DC TV shows, they've already established that there's multiple universes, that there's a multiverse. So we as the audience really establish them as being in a different universe.
But that really does feel like a cop-out, though. It's like, yeah, we can do things in the show that don't make sense to the movies if we just throw out that it's happening in a different universe.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's what the movie execs should be saying.
The different universe thing definitely exists in comics and cartoons and all that sort of thing. I'm not saying it's not legitimately a thing, but it also feels like a cop-out.
Oh, yes. Well, I would much rather the TV shows have something to do with the movies and they all kind of play off of each other, but clearly DC's not going to do that. Warner Brothers is not going to do that. So I feel like, it's different, but anyway,
you have to do it.
Let's get back to
whereas the reason Marvel's able to do what it's doing is because, and I think we said this before too, Marvel and Netflix are basically fucking. Like, that's happening. There's 5 Marvel shows that are going to be
Luke Cage is going to come out next month.
Iron Fist, Punisher, Daredevil.
I can't wait for Iron Fist. Is my favorite Marvel character, which is weird because he's a B-list character at best. Iron Fist is my favorite Marvel character. I can't wait for his show, and I'm also terrified of it at the same time.
See, I don't know anything about it, which makes it better for me. I didn't know anything about Daredevil. I didn't know anything about Jessica Jones. I went into them all dry. And I think it made it better for me because I wasn't, when people read a book and then they go see a movie.
Yeah, and you're more invested in the character and then you're disappointed by it.
No, it's just like, oh, they did this in the book, they did this in the movie, so that's wrong, even though what they did in the movie could have been awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think you give the movie a fair shot if you bring the book in the back of your head, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the fact that they're doing like the 5 separate, like I say, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and then bringing them all together in a 6th show. Marvel and Netflix are fucking. Like, that's how that's going on.
At least it's the good kind.
This is true. Also, if you watch S.H.I.E.L.D., S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to include Ghost Rider this season.
Awesome.
Which is also fun, but it's some.
They couldn't do it any worse than Nicolas Cage has.
But it's not that Ghost Rider. It's some Chinese.
That's fine.
It's some Chinese dude in a car.
That's fine.
It's weird. It's cool though.
So back to Suicide Squad. There was a lot of things wrong with this movie. Like, I felt like a lot of the characters' motivations, other than if you don't fucking do this, we're gonna kill you kind of thing, were really weak. Like, even when what's his name? Rick Flag decides, all right, you guys can leave if you want. I'm not going to kill you, but I'd really appreciate it if you helped. Why would these fuckers not just, fuck it, we're out. We're villains.
There has to come a point, okay, and this is going to sound really cheesy, but there has to come a point for every villain that absolutely doesn't give a fuck. And they tried really hard visually, I'll give them that much, to make Enchantress and her like buttfuck stepbrother there look like big gigantic demonic things. Oh,
Enchantress looks so bad on the screen, like when she's all CGI'd up. And
they tried. I'm not saying they succeeded, but they tried to play Enchantress and like the grouchy stepbrother, whatever the fuck he was. They tried to.
She just called him brother.
They tried to play them up as like these big demonic, like world destroying things. There has to come a breaking point where even the people that are bad guys, even the people that don't agree, look at it and be like, well, I can sit here and, say I don't care all I want, but I kind of like living. And if the world gets destroyed, I'm not going to be alive anymore.
The only motivation that it made sense for are the 2 big characters. Because Harley Quinn had just lost essentially the love of her life, and that's a big focus of her character is the Joker. So she's like, so when he dies, she essentially is like, well, fuck it, this is all I have left now. So why not?
Yeah, but it could be believable. That could be believable.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's more believable to me than the rest of them. Like Killer Croc has no reason to stick around.
We all need a world. Like, I'm going on a very, very like worldwide thing, right? Like, if something is literally going to destroy the world, you're going to die. So it doesn't do any good to be stubborn at that point. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying that if they're the bad guys they say they are, not all of them are going to stay.
That's why I like this movie, though, because you've got the difference, and this is why I think it's a very good thing that Batman wasn't in it that much. Because if you had Batman in it, you'd be like, okay, here's Batman and here's all these villains, right? Take Batman out a little bit, you get to have this dynamic of, like, it's not just good and bad. Like, there's good, there's bad, but then there's evil. And that like the bad guys beat the evil guys. And I like that dynamic because it's so different than oh, just who's Batman fighting today.
It's so different than, say, Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh wait, it's not. It's the exact same movie concept.
So what you're saying is we don't entirely have defined faces and heels?
Exactly.
They're all
down to the quirky oldies music in it.
Oh,
granted, Suicide Squad had a little bit more modern music than
the Suicide Squad soundtrack is fucking killer.
It's awesome.
I will say this, and this is where it really stuck out to me as like this must be a good soundtrack. Even the songs that I don't like I could give a fuck about Eminem, but even the music I don't like, they used well and it fit the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
the soundtrack was very good.
If you can pop a sound or how can I say, if you pop a song that I don't like into a movie and I'm into it because it fits that well, you've done something as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, they kind of spoiled the entire soundtrack with all the different previews they put out. I will say they previewed and promoted the fuck out of this movie.
Yeah, and I feel like that didn't help it as much.
I liked it. I did like it. Be on the level of, how you said there's some characters you know, some characters you don't know. They had like different. I don't know whether it's the same in the States. I don't know how promotion works between there and here. We had different, we had promos that were specific to Joker, promos that were specifically to Harley Quinn.
We didn't have that at all.
Promos that were specific to Amanda Waller or specific to Death. They had one, and I only saw it once. There was a promo that was specific to Killer Croc.
I don't know. I could not get into this movie, and I didn't feel like I was going to, and maybe that was my problem. Like, I went in being like, I don't know that I'm going to like this movie. I feel like it's too hyped up. I feel like, so maybe that was my issue, but it just did not click with me. I didn't hate it as much as Batman vs. Superman.
They did a good job
a lot more than that.
For a movie that wasn't entirely Batman based, they did a really good job of showing you the continuum from Batman versus Superman into this, which I thought was really good. I wanted
it to be better than it was, and it wasn't. But I heard rumors somewhere that Margot Robbie was going to produce and star in a solo Harley Quinn movie, and I would be very into seeing that because I feel like her portrayal of Harley Quinn, other than the fact that she's super sexed up, I thought it was great.
I've heard one step beyond that apparently there's going to be one or two, and this is rumors, obviously, but that basically they're going to do like a Sirens of Gotham movie.
Yes, that's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Like her and Poison Ivy and Catwoman and what the fuck's her name? The daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Talia. So it's going to be like the four of them in like this evil women's, I'm not going to make a joke. I'm not going to make a joke. But basically it's going to be like Batman or Batman and whoever taking on this, like all these women of Gotham, like coming together as this like female force, which I think could be interesting. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy didn't do anything for me. So if they can revamp that, that'll be great. Michelle.
See, I liked that movie, but I'm nostalgic. That's why I liked it.
This is true, but like, but here's my thing where I was very hard on them because this is the first ever Harley Quinn we've seen. We haven't seen Catwoman in a movie since Batman Returns, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is kind of iconic as well. So they'd have to go. Actually, no, that's not true because she was in. They had a Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises who was kind of shit. So I'm correcting myself as I talk. That's a thing. But like Michelle,
I also I decided to open up the chat and see who was talking. We have Guapos in there. We have another friend from my Smart Mark group. Josh is in there. Angry Mark is in there.
Calling you his queen.
Hello, Angry Mark. I have a headache right now, so.
And we have to do another video later tonight.
Yes, about that, since Guapo's in the chat, I think he's still in the chat.
Guapo, are you still in the chat? Say hola.
I was wondering if instead of doing well, we could do both, but instead of doing where do you usually watch NXT?
Me?
Yes. Like, is it in this room that you are in right now, or is it in another room, or?
Yes, it's in this room.
I was thinking if Guapo was in for it, we could live stream us watching NXT and get live reactions. We could do that on my channel, and then if you wanted to do a recap on your channel.
Either or. I just don't know how it's going to be, like the sound coming through, because I know there's other people that do reaction videos that have gotten nailed for copyright only because the sound came through.
Oh, yeah, that's probably. I'd have to use my shittier mic so that the sound wouldn't come in. We'll see. If not, we'll do what we normally do on your.
I was gonna say recap is.
Or I guess it's on my channel that we do.
I was gonna say recap is the tradition. Recap only came over to my channel because your Google Hangout wasn't working.
Okay. Well, never mind.
Anyway,
I think we should all watch it.
One thing about Suicide.
We'll watch it together anyways because I don't want to watch it by myself.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. Oh no, we can do a hangout. I just don't know if we can broadcast it.
No, that's what we could do that.
But I mean, the one thing I will say about because I love cliches and I love old tropes in movies. I think there was a lot of okay, I'm dead, but I'm not really dead in Suicide Squad. Because they did it with the chick that was Enchantress, June Moon or whatever the fuck her name was. They obviously did it with Joker, but we knew he wasn't dead. And I'm pretty sure they're going to write in some kind of way that Diablo's not actually dead because he was okay. Of the characters that I don't know, Diablo had the best backstory.
I agree. I liked Diablo's character. I had one problem with Diablo's character though. So he turned into what? He turned into, at the very end of the movie, he's always like the more noble of all of them. He's the one that doesn't really want to be using his powers because they're just getting stronger and he's just getting harder to control. And he's killed his wife and his kids with it. And so he finally becomes, he doesn't finally, he does the noble thing at the end of the movie. And he's like, I'm going to use my powers. I'm going to fight this guy. Blah, blah, blah. He essentially turns into what looks like a Mexican fire god. Like he looks very, he actually looks very Mayan as opposed to Aztecan, but not that distinction is important. He turns into what is essentially a Mexican fire god, fights this dude, and can't kill him, but gets him down. But then these normal fuckers can kill him. The bomb.
No,
that's what kills him. He fights a Mexican fire god, essentially. Doesn't kill him, but a bomb kills him.
I have a defense for that, though, because that happens in a lot of movies. That happens in a lot of wrestling matches, too. Let's be real. But here's the thing. Here's where I look at it, right? Imagine you're playing Street Fighter. This is going to be a shitty example. I'm letting you know this in advance.
I'm ready for the shitty example.
You start off with 100 points, and you got to get knocked down to 0, right? To lose. Somebody like this guy came in.
I already know what your example is, but continue.
Yeah, this guy came in. He's a big friggin' fire god. He like hit him with a 99 strength blow, and then the humans came in with a 2% blow. Well, there's your 101%. You know, Nash, finger poke of doom, and all that.
I feel like now that's a bit of a cop out, but okay.
But think about it. It's entirely true though. He beat down, like, he was a god. He fought another basically god. We're using that term very loosely in this video. But, you know, big evil, big sort of good evil. He beat them. He beat his opponent down enough that he was susceptible to a normal human being. Like, I think the fact that the humans were able to take him out shows how strong he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a bit of a cop-out. No, it doesn't make entire sense. No, but you don't want to give the victory to somebody who's quote-unquote not alive. I don't believe he's dead. I fully do not believe he's dead.
Believe he's dead. All right, so let's we've been talking.
One more thing. Did you see the post-credit scene?
Yeah.
What did you think of the post-credit scene? I want to ask you first. Does it excite you?
Oh yeah, that post-credit scene. I keep forgetting about the post-credit scene because I'm about to fucking spoil it. Spoiler alert, guys. Sorry.
Really?
Yep, gonna fucking spoil it. So if you don't want to hear about the post-credit scene, then fucking turn it off. So I'm trying to also plug in my computer because my computer's about to die.
It's on YouTube, so.
So post-credit scene. What happens if I'm correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Spaz. The post-credit scene is Batman. Is Batman showing up, but Bruce Wayne really showing up to Amanda Waller, right?
Mm-hmm. And getting the files on the metahumans.
Yeah.
So
it's the exact same post-credit scene as Batman vs Superman, which is we're gonna find these people and form a team.
Yeah, I will say the fact that Bruce Wayne and Amanda Waller acknowledge each other is cool. I wish, because in the cartoon, and I'm going to go back to the cartoon for a second, he is going to build I keep wanting to say the Avengers, but the Justice League, but he goes as Batman. The fact that he went as Bruce Wayne and then they had the dialogue they did, randomly at the end they throw in that Amanda Waller knows who Batman is.
Yes. I didn't even think about that part, but they totally did. She already knows who Batman is.
She knows who Batman is. She knows what he's doing. But here's my other thing, right? I know you don't like Batman versus Superman, but there are key building points, like there were key building points in this movie, right? He got the documents on all the metahumans from Lex Luthor. And remember when he finds out who Wonder Woman is and all that sort of thing, right?
He sends her an email of all the...
He's got the files on all the metahumans that Lex Luthor had already.
Yes.
Why does he then, again, have to get them from Amanda Waller?
To remind you, there's going to be a Justice League movie, guys.
It's true. Now...
Here, and, you know, I hate that I put Marvel up on this pedestal because, you know...
They deserve to be on the pedestal.
So, what Marvel did, what I feel like DC is doing right now poorly, is that you had the first Iron Man movie, and in its end credit scene, it has Nick Fury come out of the shadows and go, "We're forming a team." That's it. Doesn't tell you who's on the team, doesn't tell you when, whatever. We're forming a team. Second Iron Man movie, you know, they briefly mention it during the Iron Man movie, and I only remember this shit because my mom loves the Marvel movies, so we watch them all the fucking time.
Is that when he's like chilling out in the fucking donut?
Yes. Well, it's right.
Because he gets drunk.
It's right after it's that scene with the donut where Nick Fury goes, "You are not the center of my universe. I got shit in the Southwest region to deal with, blah, blah, blah." But then at the end of that movie, they show Thor's hammer, which is also, you know, it foreshadows the Thor movie, but also maybe he could be in the Avengers. Then I forget and then the Thor movie had Hawkeye in it. What was the end credit for the
Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and then Captain America. But the first Captain America is called Captain America: The First Avenger.
Well,
fuck off, Captain America.
What? No. Well, chronologically, he is the first Avenger because his chronologically, like time period wise, his is actually the first movie because it's set during World War II.
He wasn't one of the Avengers until present time, though. I don't buy that at all.
He's the first Avenger. That's what he's always been known as. I'm sorry you're an Iron Man guy, but Captain America is the first Avenger. Anyways, the point of trying to bring all this shit up is what Marvel did is they didn't come out and say, oh, we're going to make an Avengers movie and it's got this guy, this guy in it, and when it's going to be great. Like, they were like, hey, yo, we're going to make a team. And then later they were like, hey, yo, Thor might be in it. Hey, yo, Captain America might be in it. Hey, yo, Hulk might be in it.
DC
like,
does not know the meaning of subtlety.
Her movie.
Okay, here's where I will say this, though, right? We would not be getting from DC right now what we are getting if Marvel didn't do what they did.
Yes.
I will fully say DC is trying to pull its chair up to the Marvel table.
They're trying to catch up, and I feel like it's not necessary. They could do a similar thing, and we would all still go see the DC movies. We're not going to not go see them because...
Here's the thing, though, right? But if they were going to if they were going to build... Because we've had... This is the problem... The problem/awesome thing with Batman is that it's been reimagined so many times. You had... Okay, go back in the day. You had Adam West. Then you had the animated series. Then you throw in the 2 Michael Keaton movies, the Val Kilmer movie, the George Clooney movie. Then you get the 3 Christian Bale movies, and now you've got Ben Affleck. So Batman has been reimagined so many times. You would still have to have... You would have to have Ben Affleck do a definitive, this is our Batman going forward movie.
You need to do that, but I'm saying what they did is they're like, this is our Batman. We're going to make a Justice League movie. This person's going to be in it. This person's going to be in it. This person's going to be in it. Right off the bat, instead of, you know, at the end of every Marvel movie, I don't know about you, but I'm always like, well, shit, I got to see the next one because they might have another hint about who's going to be in that one.
And here's the thing, where I will say Marvel destroyed DC, and this I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here because this is where Batman versus Superman kind of falls down a little bit. Batman and Superman, other than in the Superman movie a little bit, which I didn't like because it's Superman, they never acknowledged each other in a movie before. Whereas, so when the big Batman versus Superman big collision that I was getting all excited for this year happened, you and I had this conversation at the beginning of the year. I hate Superman. I hate Captain America. We're getting Superman versus Batman, and we're getting Iron Man versus Captain America. Both are happening this year. I'm super excited, right? Why are the 2 fights not equal? Because Batman versus Superman, they spent the entire first half hour of the movie fabricating some friction between those two, right? Whereas I go back, even now, after I've seen Civil War, I go back to the first Avengers, when they were first trying to put the team together. And those guys didn't mash from the get. And
yeah, they didn't. They've always had a little bit of friction. They've always had different ideologies.
They fought through that movie, and then they got to Age of Ultron, and they fucking came to blows in Age of Ultron a little bit. And you sort of, not only them, but you started seeing the pieces of like who would take whose side. Like Banner was kind of on Stark's side, and you had Thor that was obviously on Captain America's side. And then they parsed out like that, right? But you had the unity, that you had that group being together, and you had that idea of it breaking apart. Batman versus Superman, A, never acknowledged each other, and B, were never together in the first place. So you didn't have that, oh my God, how terrible is this? It's all falling apart. Because they never acknowledged each other's existence until now.
And I feel like they didn't necessarily need that in Batman versus Superman. I feel like you could have, just because you've seen this movie, and granted, had they added maybe a little bit extra into say, I'm trying to think, had they added like maybe Ben Affleck seeing this shit, like maybe, that scene at the beginning of Batman vs. Superman where Bruce Wayne is going to Metropolis. He's trying to
yeah.
I feel like had there been hints of it, I mean, maybe you didn't need to see Ben Affleck running down the street in the Superman in the first Superman movie, but maybe like you hear you see like you see Lex Luthor's stuff. Maybe you see like maybe you see like Wayne Enterprises building. Maybe you see somebody in it and they're on the phone with somebody. They're on the phone with somebody who's clearly telling them to get out of the building, and they end it with, of course, Mr. Wayne.
Yeah, something like that would have been good. I will say, seeing as we never got to review that movie, Jesse Eisenberg, really super fucking twitchy as Lex Luthor. I really liked his version of Lex Luthor.
I did. I hated his version of Lex Luthor.
Really?
Because Lex Luthor at his core is a smart, controlled businessman who is very controlled, very calm. This was like if they
Superman movies. In most of the Superman movies, how old is he though?
How old is he?
He's a lot older, isn't he?
No. In the Smallville version of Superman, he's a lot younger. He's the same age as Superman. And he's still very calm, very calculated, very business oriented. He's not a Joker.
Yeah, but so my 2 points to that were going to be, because I guess I was wrong, but there's no reason that somebody like that twitchy and kind of maniacal and kind of power trippy couldn't mature past that and become the more cold, calculating Lex Luthor that you know. B is when they do capture him at the end and they shave all his, because the hair, no. just okay, I'm going to borrow a line from Russell Brand here, and I'm just going to say that Jesse Eisenberg's hair as Lex Luthor just looks like mental illness. It looks like his hair is mad at his head. Like, that's a thing. But when
I feel like Jesse Eisenberg came up and they were like, we want you in the Batman vs. Superman movie. He's like, I really want to play the Joker. And they're like, well, we're not really going to do the Joker, but you could be Lex Luthor. And he's like, cool, I'm going to play Lex Luthor as if he was the Joker.
He didn't...
He's the Joker with a bunch of money.
He didn't audition to play Lex Luthor, eh?
I know.
He auditioned, you know, the cameraman that gets shot right at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
He auditioned for that role. And they gave him Lex Luthor instead.
That doesn't give me any confidence at all. That explains a lot, actually.
Okay. I will say, because I don't really have much else to say about the movie unless you do. There were four, I mean, there's more coming, but there were four big movies that I was looking forward to this year going in. There was X-Men Apocalypse. There was Civil War.
And we disagreed on those as well.
Yeah, there was Batman versus Superman, and there was Suicide Squad.
I think this is the only movie we even slightly agree on.
What I'm saying, Civil War destroyed the other three.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jesus, something broke off.
The other thing that really kind of bothers me, and this is not specific to the Batman and Superman thing, and we're really not talking about Suicide Squad anymore because we're kind of done. What bothers me, like I said, I went into this year looking for those two big conflicts because I'm a Batman fan, I'm an Iron Man fan, I hate Captain America, and I hate Superman. I was looking forward to these two big conflicts, and it should have smacked me in the face that, like, those two conflicts aren't going to have an end because the two heroes are going to fight, and then something big is going to come along and distract them. Like, I went into this year wanting to see Iron Man blow Captain America away. I wanted, Batman to kill Superman. And neither one of those things. What?
You knew that was not going to happen.
I thought on the short term there was going to be like a victor for a little while, and then like later on there'd be a villain that brought them back together. But in both cases, they were like, okay, Batman and Superman get along because their moms' names are Martha.
Oh, that was so bad.
Can we just point that out for a second? I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved, because I've made the joke, because I look at those two rivalries like I do, the one thing that I've always wanted to see would be the Iron Batman. And what they did in Batman versus Superman was almost
Iron Batman, yeah.
Which is, I'm sorry, if you're me and if you've got the mentality that I have, where my loyalties lie and all that sort of thing, the Iron Batman is pretty cool.
So let's just go ahead and wrap up our thoughts on Suicide Squad. I felt like there was a few good things, but it didn't really make much sense.
I think it will, and yes, this is going to sound like another cop-out answer. I think when you step back and look at the DC universe as it goes on, this movie will play an intricate role in the entire spectrum. Watching it on its own as a movie, not so much. I think it's great for what it achieved for the storytelling later on, but on its own, no.
I think what happened, because they said they cut out 2.5 hours of this movie, and that's what it reads to me, is that there was a good movie in here somewhere, and then it got hacked to pieces.
That's the other thing I meant to mention earlier when you were talking about the Joker. There's a lot of Joker stuff taken out of this. Did you pick up Batman vs Superman?
Did I buy it? No.
Yeah. Okay. Because you got buy the extended edition of that, and it's another half hour longer. If DC is going to go on this mentality of we're purposely going to keep some stuff out so that people will buy our extended versions on Blu-ray, that's, first of all, a bitch-ass move. Second,
it's also a mistake.
It's also a mistake. But third of all, it's going to be one of those, like, we're going to watch it because I'm going to buy the movies. Like, I'm just going to.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Ant-Man because I knew Ant-Man was going to be in the Avengers. That's the only reason, right? But you're going to sit at home and watch the extended version and be pissed off that you didn't get to see this in the theater. Because I will say the extended version is better. Like, there is more context to a lot of things.
Maybe if somebody else buys the extended version, I will watch it at their house, but I won't buy it. I probably won't buy it.
Because both DC and Marvel are doing a continuum right now, I'm gonna buy them. Because I'm gonna. Like, I've gone out right now. I don't watch the animated series anymore because it's not out there anymore. DC has put out a lot of, like, one-off Batman animated movies.
I have. Those are really good.
There you go.
Those are really good. I wish they had them on Netflix for the longest time.
People that are looking forward to this, don't go into it with any expectations.
I heard, I've heard mixed reviews on it. I've heard that some people didn't like the Killing Joke. The big I don't even want to talk about the big it's been long enough. We could talk about the big controversial scene in The Killing Joke. Where
the scene where they basically said, "Oh, it's R-rated. We can do this now.
We're gonna make Batgirl and Batman fuck."
No, that's not what I thought you were gonna talk about, because that doesn't actually happen. It's just kind of implied.
Whatever. They do that in the story. They do. They don't graphically show it on the screen, but
yeah, and she gets
an HBO.
But I will say, are you going to watch it?
Probably not, just because I don't.
Because maybe that's the person she has sex with. She ends up having not exactly wanted sex with the Joker after he paralyzes her.
Well, that's in the original Killing Joke comic, anyways.
See, I don't know these things.
They imply in the original in the Killing Joke, he has a lot of people criticize Batgirl's role in the Killing Joke because she's not really in the comic. The only reason she's in the comic is to be a plot device because the Killing Joke is about the Joker deciding that he believes that anybody can turn as evil and as bad as him if they've had one bad day, and she's the plot device on trying to make Commissioner Gordon it's a bad day, and that's the only reason she is in the comic is to be, shot,
paralyzed,
implied, raped, and to psychologically torture Commissioner Gordon. And so that was the Killing Joke's biggest flaw to a lot of people is that, and they, from what I've heard, I haven't watched it.
I'm going to put this out there.
Movie, they tried to give her more than being that, but it wasn't in a good way.
No, yeah. My issue with it is it feels like half of a movie. Like, it doesn't have an ending. Or at least, as somebody watching it with no context going in, because I don't read comics, I'm very honest about that, I love comic book movies, but I don't read comics, so I can go in, you know, sort of open mind, not comparing it to anything. As just a movie watcher, it doesn't have an ending. It really doesn't. It's got like a weird sort of drop off. And if that's the way it is in the comics, then cool. But I'm watching myself on a delay, and I look really animated, so there's that. I don't know, like, my brother reads a lot of comics. My younger brother, gives me a lot of context for a lot of the movies, especially with the whole Justice League Suicide Squad stuff. So that's a little bit of a help. I also watch a guy on YouTube. If you guys are comic book fans or comic book movie fans, go subscribe to a channel called Emergency Awesome, because he does like little 5-minute breakdowns of movie trailers, and it's just the most random, like, hey, they could be doing this from this movie back in 1975. It's no, I'm joking, but in all seriousness, the guy's really informative. And when stuff like Suicide Squad and Justice League and things that I'm not particularly familiar with, like Doctor Strange, come up, it's a great tool for me. But for me, going into it just as a movie watching fan, I'm getting repetitive now. But there's no ending. The movie, and that. I hate that.
Well, I hope that was our review on Suicide Squad, and I guess the new animated Killing Joke. Bear in mind, I just reviewed a animated show that I did not watch. I just did it based on what I've heard, and I don't feel like it's for me.
I will say one more time, any of you guys out there that are listening to us review Suicide Squad and want a little bit more context, go check this one out. It's called Batman Assault on Arkham. It is much like Suicide Squad, not a Batman movie, so I don't know why he's on the cover, but it is called Batman Assault on Arkham. It's a great sort of companion piece if you want a little bit of context going into Suicide Squad, or you want to watch it after just to compare. It is really good, and they do a little bit more background, but not very much.
All right, so I think that's all we have left to talk about today. Later tonight, we are going to review NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. We're going to see how that shakes out. Spaz, everybody on my channel probably knows who you are and how to find you, but just in case, tell me who you are and how to find you.
Go to Twitter, go to Instagram, go to YouTube, go to Facebook. Go to any of these places, type in Spaz Phoenix, and you will find me.
All right, then.
Don't go to Google Images, because there's some pictures I wasn't able to take down.
Guys, I will do a lot better job pre-announcing these live shows beforehand. Spaz had to re-show me how to do this again, because it's been so long since I've done it that I forgot how to do it. So that's why.
Guys, in the comment section down below, if you want to see more content from the Black Cat Feline, put it down in the comment section below. Hashtag we want the cat.
Hashtag I'm trying.
If we get 10 people to hashtag we want the cat in the comment section, I'll make Kristen do more videos.
The only reason I'm even showing now is because of one of these devices with my nephews. I'm able to hotspot with unlimited data out of my iPad. Because the internet in the middle of nowhere sucks. And I can do it on my computer as opposed to trying to do it on my phone. So yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up, the two of you that are here. I thank you for watching, although it might be in Guapo. But you guys watch afterwards. We will be back later tonight. I will make an announcement. I will make an event right now, so you guys know beforehand.
You're cutting like crazy right now.
Yes. Thanks for coming, Spaz.
Thank you. I'll see you in a couple of hours.
We'll see you guys in a couple hours. Bye.